much better condition. But of course, all of these need continued servicing to keep going.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
How is this budgeted when you do this report? How do you determine how are you going to fix it and which one you're going to pay?
This is where we continue consultation with our vendors about what they can keep going and which ones absolutely cannot work. Then we'll look at which buildings will match that with use, and then make determinations about what's next up.
So you just said you had a emergency chiller installed at Global Cross.
Yes.
So is that something that a contractor installed, or somehow how did that work? Because it seemed that you have greater how did Cross end up with emergency chillers?
Because when we were fixing pumps, Cross's AC has been intermittent throughout the summer. It was holding, and we were able to hold summer school there. As you know, the night of our meeting, the atrium was warm. It was not showing at its fullest rate. So of course, as we dispatched staff to look at that and our vendors to go out, they work on different pieces of that. And when they went on, they fixed some coils, they see other coils need to be repaired. As they spaced out to different parts, they got to a motor that would not work, and there would not be AC within the building, and that's why an emergency chiller was needed.
Are you ready for questions?
Yes, absolutely.
Alderman Rose?
I didn't raise my hand. I didn't know.
We know you.
You're my favorite.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You get priority.
Thank you for the information. I'm just looking back. Thank you for answering the questions. The questions that we asked initially, I think we also asked for air quality reports. Is that something?
Yes, the air quality reports have been put on the website. They are under the facilities tab. It's actually departments, facilities. Then you can go over operations, and that takes you to where the
through the chair, if you could send us the link, that would be greatly appreciated.
Yes, and so we've done, say we did 23. We will be doing the rest this fall. One of the issues of why they can't be done during the summer, they have to be during occupied school times. So we'll pick that up now that school is back in session. And in answer to a question about how air quality results will come in and they may still be off, for example, saw some mold somewhere in a building, all of the air quality tests are snapshots in time because it's taken while school is in session, while it's happening. So while there might not be an issue as it's collected throughout the building, there might not be an issue today, it could be tomorrow. Like if we did the air quality test at Lincoln Bassett on Sunday, not an issue. We tested Monday when the flood. So, right, so that's it, but it is on the website, and I'll send that over to Ms. C.
That's great. We would love to take a look at that. The other item that I believe you requested was a list of all open mold cases. Is that something?
Well, that, again, those are addressed as we get tested. Like, for example, a new one was issued today because there was another mold cited somewhere. Anywhere we get it, we really do the testing and start the remediation. And we were clear at the end of last week. And now that obviously we have spaces open with staff coming back, they may see something that the building manager didn't see, or something happened in the closet. And so
as far as you know, there's one open case. Is that correct?
That we're testing for as of what came in this afternoon. I'd have to look at the work order system to.
Are there cases that that are open in the sense that, like, you know that there's a mold issue there and we haven't totally resolved it yet?
We did
full. Maybe.
The maybe always is always going to.
I think this is mold, or And that, it's still an open question.
Right, and that's where we go, when they think this is low, is like, okay, let's get it tested. So that's what we try to do when we see if there's a leak, like, I'm sure Tuesday morning, a lot of places showed leaks after that unbelievable rainstorm on Monday. And again, we try and chase those down as we see that and see what is mold, also with leaks, what is condensation from the system. And that's why our technicians look for and able to tell us so that we can make decisions.
Thank you. It would be great to know what the actual answer is, if there really are no cases, or just the one.
But I'd have to query through the system to see. And again, there'll be a snapshot in time of how to, yes,
But just as of today.
so it's good.
A couple other questions in my name, Mr. Chair. One is about the chillers and the ACs. How many schools in the district do not have functional air conditioning?
As of today, right now,
Well, if I may jump in,
Yeah.
you mean for the total building or part of the building or just, because some of
Where there's
them,
any
we were in
room,
buildings that
classroom.
were partial, but then they
Right.
were.
Correct. Where there's any part of the
Any-
school
okay.
where there's, the air conditioning is not working.
I would say we have one of the buildings at Sound School at the moment. We know
Do you know which one? It's okay.
I believe it's Thomas Building. And Truman, we know the ongoing issue, and that is completely being replaced. So this spring, Truman will have air conditioning. Bishop,
Even now, does not have air conditioning at all, and what's the timeline for that?
next spring, Truman's system has been down for multiple years, and finally secured a design that's what going to be both as replacing the roof and the units. And so that will take care of two issues, so that that building is in a much better place.
So sometime this year, but not when the kids go back next
Right,
week,
well, still-
they're not gonna have air conditioning.
Correct.
So if it's very hot, you have to come to school.
Well, if it's very hot, if it's one building, we'll look at relocation, see what we could do. One of the challenges was can we move things into the field house, because there was some work still going on there. And so usually when we have those issues, when we've had them in the past, we've relocated to the field house. If it's one school, if it's again,
We relocated our whole school to the field house, or a classroom.
again, depending on what the situation is, looking at what we're doing this year with this brief movement for the classes at Lincoln Bassett, this might be the way we approach this for going forward for this year, seeing how that works. Also, if it is one building, we perhaps would do a early dismissal so that we not close for the full day, not close the school fully, but again, do morning session so that we're out before it gets to the really hot part of the day.
Okay. So one school at Sound, Truman, where else do we not have HVAC? Or not, we do not have air conditioning as the kids go back on Monday?
However, we keep working, it's not that we don't have, it keeps being reset, so we have technicians returning there.
So do you think we'll have it on Monday, or we don't know?
I believe we will. We've been working through that. Edgewood, the finishing, everything should be tied in by Friday. This was a complete new system. Same thing with Lincoln Bassett. The systems are being tied in. With Lincoln Bassett, the entire system may not be in, but parts of the building will be cooling. Bishop Woods, we have some classrooms that are not heating, not of, that don't have full cooling. We're still working on that, but believe that we get ambient cooling because other rooms around it have that. And one or two places where there's one classroom or those are the reports as of our meeting.
Okay. Is it correct that Daniels and Betsy Ross also have portable chillers?
Yes.
Is that because if they didn't have those, they would not have air conditioning either?
Correct. Those were units in full failure.
Okay. And so, can you talk about the cost of that? I understand that there needs to be 24/7 security.
Yes, it becomes very expensive because the unit itself, the one for Cross, we were able to get relatively cheap at $89,000 compared to the ones at $100,000 and $140,000 for the ones at.
That's the rental fee?
Yes.
For what time period?
That takes it. That would have been April to October for the two other schools, and sure, for the basically the
7
heating.
months or something?
Yeah, basically the warm periods. Forget by October it should be cooling down. We know second summer is about to come, so deal with that. And then yes, there's a associated cost because we have to provide 24/7 security coverage of these because when we try to scale back, people try to cut out the copper and did cut out the copper at the one at Betsy Ross.
And we were on the hook to pay, the district was on the hook to pay for that, is that?
Well, we tried to work,
Yeah.
yes, because we.
Do you remember what the cost of the copper?
I do not know that cost off the
Now,
top.
what is the cost of the security?
Well, it becomes generally it's time and a half because it's a second shift or a third shift, and usually these are people who have already worked a shift for the day.
So they're our own security?
Yes,
Okay. So whatever their rate is.
correct.
Okay. So between 89 and 100 and something per
Correct.
unit, plus 24/7 security.
Correct.
It's a lot.
Yes.
Okay, do other people ask questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Good right
Well, I
now.
have a question.
Go ahead. Go
Okay.
ahead, Alderman.
The report you gave us.
Yes.
I'm sorry. You sent us a stewardship report, and in that same report you had HVAC information. Is that consistent with what you just gave us?
I didn't prepare this month's stewardship report. I was away, so I'd have to double check.
Because there was an HVAC system, well, part of the meeting was discuss HVAC systems that were installed and that were going to be installed. I just wanted to be sure that they were consistent with what you provided.
Okay, so going to be installed, being installed at this time, Lincoln Bassett and Edgewood. Going to be installed would be Truman and Johnson Daniels, and what at the design phase for Betsy Ross. So the goal is to work on replacing the ones that are in failure, so obviously we're not paying these prices just for temporary.
What is your relationship with the health department? Do they ever get involved with, when you have floods, leaks, molding, or is there?
Not usually. Occasionally they will, like if we need water samples tested in the building, they'll give us recommendations and then we'll send it out if there's something in the neighborhood. Other than that, obviously it's relationship. If there's an issue, we have the health clinics and nursing areas to make sure that kids are able to be seen.
So one of the topics that came up, we've been in 5 schools, 4 schools, was rodents.
Yes.
And one of the nurses today reported that rodents are pretty active. Ants and mice are pretty prevalent in several schools. is that something that you remediate, or is that something that the health department has to come up with?
No, we do the remediation. One of the levels of work facilities does would be to try and close up gaps such as door sweeps. Like one of the things we incentivize, like if you see under the exterior doors, try to fix that. Then all of our buildings, we do have pest control contracts, and we do monthly maintenance and bills and additional treatments, but there is a limit of what can be used in spaces with children in this. So one of the things we do try to do during the summer in buildings that are without, we try to do additional baiting, so that, again, do the things we can when kids aren't in buildings. So it really speaks again to the importance of how we need to be able to close more of our buildings during the summer so that we could increase the things that have to happen when we don't have students present, so that we can make the next year better.
So when you do have students present, what do you do?
Well, we have traps, but you can't put the bait, you can't bait them.
Not supposed to. Gotta ask the question. So I was so kind to meet your new director of facilities. Can you describe what his role is going to be and what you've dumped on him already in the first day?
I've done no dumping. We are generally tied at the hip for the next couple of weeks of learning the job, because this is going to be the first time in 15 years that this role has not been contracted out. This is going to be an all-staff person. So it's not, while it's a new position in the district, it's an expense we've had already, so it's being reduced. So we're coming in, all of the positions that are coming into facilities were all covered up under the contract that we put up. So while it's thought of as new positions, it's not the same way as my position as chief of school operations. There's always been a chief operating officer, Paul Guadone, Will Clark. It's the same position, it's just titled different. But in terms of bringing in this director of operations, again, it would be overseeing the staff, managing our vendors, making sure this is going to be the first time again that it's been a weird relationship, because we've had an outside company supervising our staff, like Local 287, the trades. And so now Mr. Tendall that will be supervising these aspects of it, assigning the day-to-day tasks, monitoring the work order system, responding to emergencies, and again, we'll be meeting with our stakeholders, meeting with principals, going around looking at quality control, seeing what the work has been, what additionally needs to be done. And listen, one of the things that I started even prior to this role, while there was a gap in the operating role, was meeting with the 3 unions so that we could flag high priority issues and try to fix it. So we'll continue to do that, because while we work with the work order system, at times things can be lost in there. So if there's something pressing, we like it being brought to our attention the same way the mold sighting today brought to our attention, so we react. So those are the type of things we're doing.
So I've been so lucky to attend a couple of Board of Education meetings in which I've heard board members, or at least one board member, speak to that there's the idea of reducing contractors and adding more staff. Is that something that this director of facilities will be taking and bringing on more staff to remediate?
Well, we'll be bringing on staff for the custodial management portion of it and some of the facility management. There are some areas that we need a much longer runway to do it. For example, if we are to do the part-time custodial, bring that in-house, we need a very long runway to organize that, because that's 200 part-time people and the infrastructure to manage that. But in terms of that's probably the biggest of the areas that would like to have, board members that would like to bring in. Other things, it makes sense, better sense that it's managed, like generally the way our trades work, it starts with our tradesmen assessing the situation, or tradespeople, excuse me, assessing the situation, see if it's something that can be done in a timely fashion, or if this is something we need to go to our vendors on. For example, we have some classrooms, a controller broke that controls the lights for some of our classrooms at one of our schools. Discussed it with an electrician and said, no, this needs to go out to our vendors. So we've scheduled for them to come out tomorrow. So that's part of how the vendor relationship works for those sorts of repairs. Again, it's always a balance of what can be done. Landscaping, we were having a conversation about that and what pieces of that could be brought back in. Again, these are possibilities, but we also have to vision out what it looks like to have the work done across 44 buildings in a reasonable time. One of the things that will be very, very difficult to bring back would be the snow removal. That's always a frequent conversation because that's a time set, as opposed to landscaping, which got done on the weekend once the crews are, those things like that. Snow removal is a time-sensitive matter for us to get schools open. And the Parks Department helps us out a lot, DPW. But again, one of the things when we approached about the ability to do some of this work, it was we could either get the streets or we could get the schools done. So that's something that will continue to need contracting. But again, where we can and bring that in, those are things we're going to keep exploring and make decisions about what can be done in-house.
And is there a timeline to increase the staff? Do you have projections like every quarter you want to have so many staff members?
Right now, the priorities have been critical positions. Right now, we still have ABM. We have a small bridge contract with ABM to get to September while we hire up staff. So next coming online will be custodial supervisors for night and day. Also, project manager whose main role is to shepherd like the roof projects through those specific things and work with the trades. Those are the next things coming online. One of our pressing things right now is filling all of our custodial vacancies in terms of building managers. And I believe I may have mentioned that that was at the finance committee that I said if people are interested, we need building managers. We still have 16 to 17, well 17 now with Mr. Tundalo coming over that have to be filled. So it's always a constant push to bring on staff. And I see what's going to happen is we're going to get building managers being able to take pride in their building, have the work to do what they need to do to make their building sparkle. I believe we went to Clinton Avenue today, and you see what pride's in a building.
It's great, beautiful.
Yeah, I must say that in our tours that there are staff in each building that take pride in the building and,
yes,
and cure as much as they can. But there's some little things that they just can't get past, like magnet doors or like switches or locks. It's this small, I call them small punch order things, but the little things that hopefully more custodial staff or trades can come in.
Right, and that's another thing. We are bringing on more trades, additional carpenters and plumbers / steam fitters. So again, more of that work will happen.
Yeah, but in terms of flooring and a lot of walls we saw today, Clinton is a bright school. They look cleaner than some of the hospital floors from what we saw today. But then there's the other things that just detract from how beautiful the school may look at that time. So, questions from the committee?
I have a couple things. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Dr. White. I just had a question. We had talked about the schools that had work to be done, but there's a large crate in the back hallway at Fairhaven School with a component in it. Do you know anything about that? because we don't have air. We haven't had air. We were there today. It was pretty hot. And then in the back hallway, there's a large crate that was delivered with some kind of component that goes in. Looks like an HVAC component. Just putting it in your crate. I just wanted to, rather than question, just give some credit where credit is due regarding the hire of Dennis Tondala. I've known Dennis. I know his work. He's a tremendous guy. He knows the job. He knows the schools. He also has the respect of the rest of the custodians in 287. I think it's a great move that we start with this move that we've talked about, moving back toward unionized custodians in our buildings, guys who are part of the community and will take pride in these school buildings. And I think you answered the question that, you know, if this starts to work, will we see an expansion into the trades and, you know, engineers, so that when stuff breaks, we can fix it ourselves. So I think you answered that one. But yeah, I mean, that was pretty much what I wanted to say, is that I think that is a really great step in the right direction with Dennis, and I think we're going to get a great result out of that. So
Thank you.
that's pretty much all I have.
Well, I do want to say, with going back, right, to hiring people, to creating a crew, what's going to be the oversight that we're going to have? What's the plan for the supervision of the custodians that we're going to have, the overnight custodians, you know, who is going to be ultimate, who am I calling when Jepson School is open at night, you know, running, you know,
She's
a baseball game?
She's the young lady in the back with the glasses on her forehead. Yeah,
You know,
That's up to the group.
who
I can't
is,
see what's happening
No, it's
behind
not in
me.
the garage.
you know, who are we holding accountable? Because then we don't want to go back to a system that did not work. I'm not looking to start a fraternity.
Right.
We are looking to have a working product where there's a line of respect. I
Exactly.
understand that there's some point that people may know each other and, you know, some kind of relationships built, but at the end of the day, there has to be some formality and respect and accountability above everything. Because at the end of the day, we need to get this job done for these kids, right? We need to do better. That's what we're aiming at, to do better. And we want to do better for the kids. We want to do better for the teachers that are there, that, you know, we want them to be in a good state of mind, healthy, happy, and ready to teach these kids and get them going, right? So in bringing people back, I know that I wasn't on the board then, but from reading in the paper and stuff, there was the reason why they dismantled that, or, you know, that part of the organizational chart, and it was sent out to a contractor. What provisions do you have in place now if you're going to bring that back? What is the level of accountability that we're having for these people that we're bringing back?
Okay. First, there is staff that will be supervising day and night, going in, checking behind their work to make sure. One of the things that Dennis will be doing, as well as the custodial supervisors, is going to reset and training in terms of what is the expectation of what's done during a shift, to make sure those things are happening. And it's the supervisor's responsibility to check that that's happening, as well as training on part-time staff so that they know what they're supposed to be, and holding our vendors to the expectation to have them trained to do it, so that we have an expectation of, when you walk into the bathroom, up, down, what the order, left, right, start at, you do the surfaces, you do everything, then you do the toilets, then you do the floors, again, all of the steps to make sure that things are being done correctly, but also done in the framework so that they're done within their shift, and that our buildings are ready so that when someone comes in the morning, that their trash is in, not the first thing they'll walk into is someone didn't take out their trash.
I guess my question is then, what would be the difference from what you're doing now that you're going to do then? Because obviously what's being done hasn't worked in some buildings. That's why we're here today, asking you all these questions. What are you putting into place to prevent what's happening now?
This is now staff that is responsible to New Haven Public Schools as opposed to New Haven's Public Schools as a vendor. They are employees, there's expectation, so there's a lot more accountability that can be held as they being our employees.
Okay, and when you say they, and this they group that we're talking about, are we talking about the building managers?
No, supervisor, building managers have always been ours, but the supervision structure to make sure that accountability is held, if they don't hold their feet to the fire, their feet will get held to the fire because all parts of it have to be done.
Okay, thank you.
If you don't mind.
Alderman Dennison?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd just like to say one other thing too. In some of the buildings that we've been in, some of the buildings that I've been in that have looked really good. I want us to all keep in mind that most of those buildings only have one day custodian and a part-timer. So guys like Corey at my school, guys like Mark Finaro at Clinton Avenue, they really deserve a lot of credit because those guys are carrying the weight of what we know. You know, I worked 30 years ago in Fairhaven School. There were 6 guys during the day and 8 at night. And these guys are doing the jobs of them. So they do, the guys that are there do deserve a lot of credit, but I agree with Alder Melendez. And we have to make sure that, you know, that the structure is back, you know, because with that private company overseeing our guys, there wasn't a rapport there. You know what I mean?
Exactly, that's why having supervisors, internal directors and supervisors create that structure. As well as, again, things will be revisited. Do we have, how we split the part-time contract? Do we have enough people supporting? Or do we have to look at some additional things so that, again, a building like Fairhaven would need more people during the day than Metro?
That's all, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
I have one more question, I'm sorry.
Go right ahead.
I have a question. Do you or Dr. Negron physically do a walkthrough of the 44 buildings prior to the school starting?
I try to get to all of the buildings, and it's done at various stages when it's done, like starting visiting the school in August is still far off. I do get reports on, again, anytime someone flags something that's a concern, make sure I get over there to look at it.
Just I have a follow-up question. Who hears the voices of the students and parents and teachers when there's an issue? If they have a complaint about facilities matter, who hears that and kind of answers their question? In other words, who's your customer service staff that to relate how things will be repaired, how things will be handled, what a time frame is? Is that your office or?
To an extent, my office, everybody know about it. Usually it starts at the school level. The principal will put in the work order and we'll try and provide them information to give back to on the time we don't per se have
So there's no platform other than a parent or a student telling the principal or teacher at this time, right?
There's no platform. Usually I get direct emails as well, or it gets emailed to the superintendent's office, and again.
Okay. One more question. With school starting next week, and you know, we're pretty much convened because we hear our constituents' voices of all those that I just described. What calls should we expect next week? Busing is all lined up. Schools are clean. Teachers all set up.
There'll be every type of call at the beginning, first day of school, whether it be someone on the wrong bus, not picked up, whether it be my schedule. Schools have done their scheduling, but in high school sometimes it's like, no, I need a new schedule, I need a change, especially on comprehensive. We'll have students showing up for the first time with just with nothing other than exactly.
And how would you like us to answer those calls? How would you like us to direct or manage some of those calls that we actually get?
Well, it would be trying to respond. Ideally, the best place to get information usually starts at the school because when they came, they may have an answer or know specifically about that, and then things that occur, I try to pass it back out to anyone.
So could you provide this committee, not my committee, our committee, a list of all the principals and assistant principals, so that when we get calls, we know where to direct them or even inquire?
Sure.
Okay. Any other questions to the committee?
Yes, Mr. Chair, if I may.
You may.
Thank you. Thank you for all the information and context. I just wanted to go back to this question of staffing and qualifications. And I think, I mean, we love Dennis. I think it's great. Does he or does anybody in the district have either, I think we talked about this briefly at the last meeting, like either professional training or prior experience with multi-school building management? Basically the task that he's been given now is to manage, going from one building to the whole, does he or does anybody have that experience?
At the moment, not on a multi-year, like at times, people have managed portions and stuff.
There must be people in the state who have done this, done it well. Is there like a mentorship plan or a training plan so that this is successful and you're not just shooting from the hip?
Yes. Again, one of the things that frequently helps us is talking to our similar districts, to people in similar roles, and having shadows and working on it, so they'll have those opportunities as well.
Is there a district you can point to that you think manages their facilities really well that we can look to as a model or a good peer?
Right.
Overall, I know there's
right, because the peer issue is probably the biggest challenge, because our peer districts generally face the same challenge of aging infrastructure and dwindling dollars. So it's always hard to compare that peer to peer like that. But again, the key is about building in the best systems.
But it must be that there's people who have experience. I mean, there must be systems for this, things you can learn about how to do it.
Yes.
That might not be known if there's literally nobody in the system who knows how to do it or who has experience doing it. So it'd be great to just maybe next time if there is a plan for mentorship, it'd be interesting to know what that looks like and how our new staff, who we know are smart and capable but don't have the experience, are being supported so that they're being set up for success. The other question I wanted to ask about is budget. So I'm wondering where we are currently on our budget for school repairs and management of facilities. I mean, I know there's multiple budget line items, but I'm wondering how we're tracking on budget, especially with some of the unexpected expenses you've mentioned.
I couldn't give a good answer tonight. So.
Okay, it'd be great through you, Mr. Chair, if we could find that out. I find it confusing to go to F&O, which I haven't done for a long time, but I was curious about this question. So there's no discussion of budget when those items are approved. There's do I like it? Do I not like it? But there's each line item on F&O is just there on its own without any budgetary context. So it's curious that is the case, and it would be helpful for us to know, especially since we're the ones who come up with the money at the end of the day, when the school system runs over budget, to know where we are. Here we are at the end of the school year. How are we doing? Are we 20% into our budget? Are we 50%? Are we 120%? That would be very helpful to know.
Okay, that would somehow work with the finance department about how that.
Is that something that you all look at regularly? I run a nonprofit. Every month we look at where we are on every program budget-wise. Is that something that you all look at as you move through?
Yes.
So from last month, but not currently, or?
Well, it's broad strokes. Also, it's about closing out previous contracts, new contracts, what our new funding source is for, and how much is budgeted to particular lines, and again, hitting on that. So haven't had anything reconciled to be able to give a good, as yet to give a good answer.
That'd be great.
So to add to Alder Miller, that I think part of July is really spent on closing out the previous year from the finance team, which that is arduous with their contract. But more importantly, I would think that you would have at least quarterly budget to actual meetings where you can report like, where you are before the snow season, after the snow season, and going forward. But I'd like to think y'all do that.
If I may, Superintendent Lebron, we have a street. Again, Dr. White, who homes in on Chief of School Operations, what happens behind the scenes is that there are meetings that are held with the CFO, the people in the finance department. Every item that goes into F&O, it can't get to F&O unless there is a budget line attached to know where are you pulling those funds from, right? So even though you don't hear the conversation that has happened before, to know where it's going to be deducted from and to verify that funds are there. Then what happens is in finance, they provide the monthly reporting to our board to say, this is where we are in terms of our expenditures. This is what is being encumbered. This is how much is left. And that's where signals are raised to be like, we're getting concerned that this line is starting to exceed. One of the things that we have built in, knowing, right, that we run into these emergencies, we know the amount of money that we have, is we have now built in another structure where the CFO from the city sits with the CFO from BoE, the mayor sits in that meeting, I sit in that meeting, and we are honing in very deeply to say, okay, where do we think things are quickly going to go into another direction? We are doing that so that we can do a lot of immediate thinking and being strategic around, oh my God, if we think we're going to run over, where can we look to see what do we need to tap into to ensure that we still have funds to address whatever line it is that we're in. Just like you, we have a goal to end with a balanced budget. That has been a clear message, even when we opened up the year and building different structures to ensure that we are all in. Dr. White's role then is to manage his own budget that he has been given, particularly to look at, he's very clear, this is how much capital money you got, and that you have, right, between these 2 years. One of the other things that we are doing, and we're going to be using this first example of the year, which you just heard about, Lincoln Bassett, right, breaks our heart, that we want to increase transparency and public understanding. This is an expense that was not budgeted, right? Nobody expected a sprinkler head to blow and cause the damage that it just caused. So what we want to do when these things happen, like I instructed our new director of facilities, Dr. Wright, get the detailed report, right? Cost, what was the timeline, when did it get remediated, so that there could be transparency. We can bring that up to a full board so people know like what is happening, just to bring greater understanding to our community that we are unique, right? I heard the question, well, who else is doing it? You know, what the Dr. Weiss said, well, there are people doing it, but we don't believe there are people out there with the same conditions that we have with aging infrastructure. We may disagree, but we stand by that answer. But again, these are all the things that we're thinking about because we all have the same goal, right? And we share the goal. The common goal is we want our students to be in the best spaces possible that are optimal for learning. We want our staff to be in the best spaces possible. But we believe that with greater communication, transparency, that will help.
I just want to follow up if I may, Mr. Chair. So thank you for the explanation. I just want to return to my question, which is, so where are we then? If you are doing these detailed, in-depth meetings, where are we on the facilities budget for this?
So on the facilities right now, like Alder Hogan mentioned, the finance has been working on, wrapping up the previous year. Pretty soon, they will be doing the full analysis to say, hey, where are we now in terms of this academic year? So a lot happens in terms of closing out previous year, and that's exactly what they're working on right now.
Okay, so there's no even like interim.
We cannot give you numbers right now to say, hey, this is where we are.
Okay. My other question, just to clarify, so, because I want to understand the contract approval process, and so many of these facilities issues come through contracts.
Mhm.
So there's a meeting where there's a discussion of how the budget line items are progressing. And then those budget line items are listed in relation to each contract. But the board doesn't necessarily have the information about how that particular contract impacts the budget line item because it's not there. How would they know unless they ask specifically?
But they would know when the CFO provides those reports.
In the following
That
month,
breaks down the monthly expenses
after they vote on it.
and shows.
But that would be after they
Right,
vote on it.
but we wouldn't be sending anything over that the CFO hasn't accounted for, that we have the budget in there to be able to cover that.
But I understand that the budget is there, but they wouldn't necessarily know whether that fills up 80% of the budget, 90% of the, like, how much is gonna be left after that contract?
Yes,
That information,
yes.
they would know after they approve.
That would
but not-
happen after they approve, because again, on a monthly basis, that's what the CFO is providing to our board.
So they're making a decision about whether to approve the contract or not based solely on whether that item is in the budget, not whether there is sort of like adequate budget to do maybe other things with that line item that might be important, or an analysis of what else the district needs to do with that line item for the remainder of the year.
They're also listening to the recommendation that is coming from the team to say, this is why this work needs to happen now and why it is aligned to the work that we're doing. So that is what they hear when those presentations are made.
So I guess the follow-up question is, and maybe this may bring clarity, is each board member has a subcommittee. Would they not review those budgetary constraints or line items in the subcommittee meetings before it gets to the full board?
F&O is the place where they get those monthly reports to see how we're doing on the different allocations and to see, how we're trending, right, to make do until the end of the year.
I mean, I just want to, that to me, that is concerning, that we're, like, if I'm going to be voting on something, and I'm going to want to know, not just is this in the budget, but how does this impact the budget overall? That does seem like potentially a gap. But one other question, Mr. Chair, that's totally unrelated, if I may, which is about students and the role of students in tackling our facilities issues. I know we have unions, I know there's lots of issues to work out, but it does seem like we know that all of the needs we have, the plumbing needs, the painting needs, all of these trades are career paths potentially for our students. And have you been thinking about what it might look like to put together like opportunities for our students to learn and to help fix their own school buildings? You're smiling, I hope. Yes, did I touch on something?
We
You're
touched
thinking about?
on
Okay, great.
one of the things that now that hopefully with the next few weeks be able to get to a place of thinking about things we want to do. Absolutely, we want to, we start with a tiny construction program, now we have a full manufacturing program happening at Hill House. And so I see this as a beginning of, as we start working with our trades, because our trades are aging out, our trades and our custodians, and although Dante knows this very well, that we have a very experienced core, 30 years in, and we all know that 30 years on the knees getting onto cabinets, and so definitely it is one of the things we want to work on, and establish ways to start training, and even if we can build into apprenticeships, so that again we will have our next crew of people to take these trades on.
Yeah, I mean, even a subset of youth at work is just focused on this. I think there's great potential for that to be not just not just to help with their facilities, not
Right.
just to help with career training for youth, but also to create a different culture in the schools, right? A real culture of ownership and investment in the school buildings. So, anyway. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thanks to both of you.
So something, thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm curious about the question. So we have 44 schools. How many total school buildings do we have?
Okay.
Just total, altogether? How many?
No, that, the 44 is the whole thing.
Would you know what school district would be closest to us in the number of buildings? Off the top of your head? Was there any other urban district that has that many buildings? And what would be the closest one to us? Like Hartford, would it be New Britain? Like who has the nearest, closest
Yeah,
amount of
Hartford,
schools?
I've been there.
There,
So
you were there.
I don't have that many.
Waterbury was at about 30 schools.
I don't know how many Richfield has.
I would be curious to be able to get into those, to see if we could get, you know, meet some of the people that run these districts with lots of schools. Because I mean, it is unique. A lot of towns don't have 44 schools.
Mhm.
So, thank you. And like, I think we should look into that, Mr. Chair.
I believe we have a legislative office that can help us with that as well.
I think that'd be a good idea. So, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Dr. DeWitt, Dr. DeGrom,
Doctors?
doctors.
You're welcome.
And by the way, the tours have been very helpful and enlightening, and it's not always the bad things you see, it's some of the great things that some of your staff is actually working on to make the schools better. Kudos to many of your principals / building managers and their staff for what they do. It would be nice just to have a couple more custodial help to help them get through it, so I'm glad you're moving in the right direction. So thank you.
But thank you for acknowledging the great people that we do have. in the
Well,
system.
absolutely. And actually, they're fun to talk to.
Yeah.
They're actually interesting to talk to, including the teachers as they are preparing today
Yes, they are.
for school. There were a variety of different environments they were all creating. And so you have a wonderful staff that's going to create a wonderful environment for kids to learn. Now, if we just get our facilities where you'd like them to be, where we'd like them to be, in a better place.
And a special thanks to Ms. Morales and Mrs. Cody today for allowing us into their building.
Absolutely.
And we are still looking for custodians, so if your constituents, they can put an application in
That's for true.
through the website.
Well, that's not hard at all. There's both on and looking for jobs. all the time.
Do you have a flyer? Do we have a flyer?
They're just posted on our.
It's just in the Apple Tracks posting we haven't done.
Okay. It's always, it's helpful to us because we all have newsletters and
Yeah.
social media and stuff, if there really is a need for
Right,
that kind of position.
we're in the process of hiring 17, and then we'll be hiring another 8 because another bunch will be retiring midway through this
Do
year.
you have a New Haven requirement for working in the school system?
No.
Okay. Do you get points for living in New Haven and working in the schools? No?
That's not built in.
No, because it's not attested.
Yeah.
It's not.
No, I mean, sometimes you get an extra bump because you live in New Haven, that you may get a nod over someone living in Wallingford. Okay.
No, this isn't attested where we can do that point system.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone from the public that would like to give testimony? Is there a sign-up sheet? Do you want to grab? You got it? Dave, just one? Okay. And Mr. Augusta will be talking about the photos in this.
Yes.
Please state your name and address.
Do the time, sir?
3 minutes?
3 minutes.
My name is David Augusta. I live at 431 Orange Street. Oops, sorry. So I have a story about microphones. We had a safe routes to school plan at one time that was never implemented. Reviving it is in the vision.
Yes.
Reviving it is in the Vision 2034 plan. Ms. Simpson found what she thinks might be it. They lost it. But Ms. Simpson found something that might be it. She's of the opinion that it's too old and outdated to be useful. So my request of the committee is that it do what it needs to do to recreate the safe routes to school plan so we can actually implement it. And I have a couple of reasons for you. Those are the conditions as part of ACEs. People have been trying to get that fixed for 12 years. I take the loose blocks and I make a sculpture
For the
out of
record,
it.
that is Audubon Street, correct?
That is Audubon Street, yes. I take the loose blocks and I make a sculpture out of it, and then the city has to come out and do something. They actually threw some asphalt at it this year, so it's not exactly safe, but, well, it's better. And then the other thing is, we have a significant amount of disparate impact. There's my sculpture for this year. When a municipality discriminates against.
I didn't mean to laugh.
I just-
It just caught me off guard.
Yes, I was going for the laugh. When a municipality discriminates against people who have disabilities, there will be this disparate impact. That discrimination will fall disproportionately on Black and Hispanic communities. We have that here. Can we have the Montessori schools? The most direct comparison I could find was our two Montessori schools. The one on the left is in a 52% white neighborhood. I may take some extra time.
You keep talking while
The one on the left.
To the left,
this one.
On the-
your other left.
Yeah, right,
There
exactly,
you go.
exactly.
Montessori school on the left is in a 52% white neighborhood. The one on the right is in a 29% white neighborhood. A year and a half after the Director of Disability Services referred that hazard to the engineering department, someone allegedly tripped on it, suffered an injury, and filed a lawsuit against the city. That covers the entire school system. We have a significant amount of disparate impact. And if you have disparate impact at schools, calls into question our compliance with Brown versus Board of Education. Sidewalks are a form of transportation, transportation must be equal. If those schools also have polling places in them, those conditions would violate 5 different federal laws, 2 sections of the Voting Rights Act of 1965, the Voter Accessibility for Elderly and Handicapped Voters, Help America Vote Act, all sorts of violations. The way to fix that is to make all our schools safe. And support for that is pretty much universal. So that is my request for the committee, and I'm happy to work with any of you to accomplish this. I have pictures and circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one explaining what each one was. Thank you very much.
And thank you for the email that you sent. It was very informative.
So be in touch. Okay. You did trip on one of these, right?
That was 5 years ago. Yes. And thank you for your testimony.
Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else from the public that would like to give testimony? Is there anyone else from the public that would like to give testimony? Is there anyone else from the public that would like to give testimony?
Mr. Chair, make a motion to close the public portion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We didn't have any voting items, and per Alder Miller's request last meeting, to keep the facilities open, there will be no need for a motion to take action on any items tonight. Is there anything that the committee member would like to raise before I seek a motion to adjourn? But we want to talk about what we can do after we adjourn, so.
Okay.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All approved? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
We are adjourned.
Don't go anywhere. Oh, yeah. Don't go anywhere.
I gotta stand up. My back is screaming.